Welcome to WarTech Lab. If everything fails, this is what's left. Not engines, not weapons, just steel. A single connection between a ship and the ocean beneath it. Because when a storm hits and control is lost, everything depends on one system that cannot break. These chains don't just hold ships in place. They hold billions of dollars in cargo. They hold entire vessels steady against the force of the sea. They hold lives. And if even one link fails, the consequences aren't gradual. They're immediate. Uncontrolled drift, structural damage, total loss. Because at this scale, failure doesn't give warnings. But what you're looking at doesn't start as a chain. It begins as a solid steel bar, cold, rigid, and unremarkable, until it enters a process designed to push material to its absolute limits. Heat, pressure, precision. This is where raw steel is transformed into something that must never fail. Inside massive furnaces, each piece is heated from the core, reaching temperatures high enough to reshape the metal itself. It glows, softens, becomes something else. Then comes force. Hundreds of tons of pressure bend, compress, and form each piece into its first recognizable shape. Not yet a chain, but no longer just steel. Because a chain isn't defined by its parts, it's defined by how they connect. Each link must be closed, fused into a single continuous structure, not attached, but transformed into one piece, at the molecular level. Because in the end, strength isn't about size. It's about whether that connection can survive when everything else cannot. At this stage, the link is closed, but it's not yet complete. Because closing the gap is not enough. It has to become one. An intense electric current flows through the joint, generating heat from resistance itself. The metal begins to melt, not from outside pressure, but from within. And in seconds, two separate ends become a single structure. No seam, no weakness, only continuity. But even perfection leaves behind flaws. Excess material forms at the joint, a small imperfection that cannot remain. Because at this scale, even the smallest irregularity can become a failure point. So the link is pressed again, with controlled force, removing everything that doesn't belong. What remains is clean, uniform, precise, ready for something far greater. But strength isn't just external. Inside every link, there's another system, a solid steel bar placed at the center. This is the stud. It prevents deformation, distributes force, multiplies resistance. Without it, the link could bend under pressure. With it, the entire structure becomes rigid, stronger, more stable, more reliable. Now comes a critical step. The stud is inserted into the still hot link, and then pressure is applied from both sides. As the metal cools, it contracts, trapping the internal core with thousands of tons of force. Not bolted, not fitted, locked in place by physics itself. But a chain alone is not enough. There has to be a connection to the anchor itself. This is where the shackle comes in, larger, stronger, built to tahammul forces even greater than the chain it connects. Because this single component becomes the final link between engineered precision and the unpredictable force of the ocean. And if this fails, everything fails. At this point, the shape is complete, but strength is still unfinished, because raw steel, even forged, is not ready for the ocean. It has to be transformed from within, heated again, cooled rapidly, then tempered with precision. This process rewrites the internal structure of the metal, balancing hardness with toughness. Too hard, and it cracks. Too soft, and it bends. Here, there is no room for imbalance. Now comes the real question. Will it hold? Each chain is subjected to forces far beyond normal operation. Thousands of tons of tension pull against every link, every weld, every connection. And there are only two outcomes. It holds or it fails. Because out there is no second test. Even if it survives the load, the inspection is not over. Invisible cracks, microscopic weaknesses are enough to bring everything down. So every link is scanned. Magnetic fields reveal flaws the human eye cannot see. Nothing is assumed. Nothing is ignored. Because at this scale, certainty is engineered, not trusted. But strength alone isn't enough. The ocean doesn't just apply force, it destroys over time. Salt water corrodes. Constant motion wears everything down. So each chain is coated, sealed against the environment, a protective layer that turns years into decades. Because survival isn't just about impact, it's about endurance. In the end, this isn't just a chain. It's a system designed to never fail. Because when a ship meets the storm and everything else is pushed to its limit, this is what remains. One connection, one responsibility, holding everything in place. Because out there, failure doesn't come twice. And this is just one system. There are others hidden beneath the surface, built with the same precision and the same consequences. Follow WarTech Lab, because the next breakdown goes even deeper.